पहले बकवास पकड़ना है या नहीं करना?
मैं थॉर की रेटिंग पूछ रहा था
वो
तेरे से यार, मेरा ऑडियो खराब था।
थॉर की रेटिंग इसने तो 2 दिया
अरे
था।
आर्यन गिव इट 2।
मेरा स्टैंडर्ड थोड़ी है यार, मतलब 2 दिया है
अभी तो मैं नहीं जा रहा देखने भाई।
हाँ डोंट रियली, मतलब इवन जेरेमी जॉन्स का रिव्यू आई सॉ इट घर आके एंड आई वाज सो सरप्राइज्ड बिकॉज़ आई लेजिट मेड द सेम पॉइंट्स ऑन माय नोट्स कि इट सीम्ड लाइक अ पैरोडी ऑफ द थॉर वर्जन इन इटसेल्फ ऑफ द कैरेक्टर एंड आई मेड द सेम नोट्स कि it's like what are they even doing, like 40 minutes, first 40-50 minutes are just ऐसे ही random. They're just constantly figuring out what to do with the story and laughs तो दूर की बात है, I've hardly chuckled like 3 times throughout the movie.
Wow.
And more than that I have cringed.
Sanjeet, bolstering your argument against MCU.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, same
I
now.
don't know. I was legit debating because I like Taika Waititi. I like Thor Ragnarok quite a lot.
I love
So
that.
मतलब I thought कि यार the last Marvel movies that I'll watch are the ones which is Sam Raimi and Taika Waititi, and then I'll stop. But
Yeah.
I'll stop. I mean, YTT has a lot to answer for already, I think. So
Yeah.
Anyways, this is not a
Chalo.
Taika YTT episode. We've already had that in Free Guy.
Oh my God. Okay, chalo, let's begin. Okay, hello. Welcome back to Queen is Dead. I am Sanjeet. I have Dhruv and Aryan with me, and today we have a very special guest with us, Shashwat, who is a critic for High on Films, and he also previously appeared for the post-Oscar bashing. Was it bashing?
Jabs. It was Sanjeet.
Jabs.
I think so.
It was Jabs. I remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, hello Shashwat. How are you?
Hello, Dhruv. Hello, Sanjeet. Hello, Aryan.
Hello.
Also, so midway through the year, we are talking about a best of the year, but we aren't really listing down just the top threes of what we've seen in any language so far. Lots to talk.
Because we are not spoiled for choice in terms of like Hindi films,
at least
and like
Hindi
different
for sure.
ones.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. But
various films. Aryan, begin with your first film, sir.
Okay, so one of the first films that I loved at the start of the year was Richard Linklater's direct to Netflix film Apollo 10 and a half, A Space Age Childhood. Yeah, I'm acting like those members of the academy, like pura naam bol ke. Yeah. So I watched that movie and I love Linklater and I almost love his entire filmography because he seems to be one of the few contemporary filmmakers who really meshes cognitive characters and cerebral drama and dialogue with free floating narrative with a good bit of nostalgia and melancholy looming in the air. And Apollo 10 and a half, I think it's a culmination of everything the director is good at. Every echo that he showed in the before trilogy in films like Taste and Confused. What was the everything that 2016 film?
Oh, Everybody
Wants Some.
Everybody Wants Some, yeah. So this film, and I think this is the only film in quite a long time which was not nostalgic for the sake of cashing into the nostalgia, because it actually showed how a particular time status quo can nurture children of growing up in that era, right? And it captured that era and based in United States and Houston, Texas. It's based upon, right? It's set in that era.
Correct.
So it's set basically during the age of space race. Okay, so everyone wanted to become an astronaut. Every kid wanted to become an astronaut. And what better way to show that fantasy through animation? And he loves doing animation this way, right? I forget what that term is. Yeah, so that's what he did with that film starring Keanu Reeves and Robert Downey Jr. I love that film. Canada. I love that film. Another very underrated.
Waking Life, I think.
Yeah,
Waking Life.
Yeah. So I love the way he uses animation, and this film, I think, and the film just got better for me during the climax end sequence when the way he chooses to show the dream sequence, okay, the way he chooses to show the actual moon landing, and the way it's being shown in the movie. Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, I was
Mm.
just blown away. It's the type of film that you would just watch. I mean, a lot of people might just watch this film, whether it's just casually playing in the background on Netflix, on TV, but not a lot of people would realize that it's an incredibly smartly written film, because there's so many underlying nuances that I think he's just a great writer, and that
Yeah.
echoes and that
Yeah.
shows through his direction and the way he captures these periods and all in his films, especially when it comes to showing coming of age stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
This,
common favorite for me as well in my top three.
no,
Yeah.
but this is
Apollo 10 and all.
like for everyone, I think, right? Like I think all of us, this is one of the few films that I think all of us have watched, and in
Yeah.
some proximity, it makes our makes it higher up our list. So like we can expand on it
Exactly.
actually if any of
Yeah.
you have like
I mean,
additional
I've
thoughts.
been watching all of his films post 2014. Everything, like whatever he's done
Boyhood.
since 2014, basically Boyhood, yeah.
Yeah.
But even
Do you
before
guys
that,
like
also I watched.
Boyhood?
I think before that was.
Not really. I'm not
I
very
mean,
high on
in
that.
retrospect, not so much,
Mm.
not so much. But I guess all the themes that he's culminated over the years, like were there in Boyhood, and then it was more like a literal thing in Boyhood, right?
Yeah.
The only film
Exactly,
in the
yeah.
recent times which I've not watched is Where to Go Bernadette, I think, which
Oh,
the
that
Kate
is not
Blanchett
very
one.
good.
Yeah, I
I've
mean,
watched it.
first of all, I was waiting for it for so long, and I didn't even know it
It
dropped. Like one day,
went
it was
through
just
like production hell, I think, and like release hell and
some
everything.
problems
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
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 So, and I didn't know he was working on this film, Apollo 10 and a half. It just like dropped out of nowhere.
Same.
Like when the
I'm
trailer
yeah.
came, it showed
Same.
Linklater, and I was like, what? Linklater just made a movie and I don't even know about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But that's also
I
Linklater
watched it
in
like a week after it came out on Netflix. So even I was like, oh my god. Yeah.
I watched the same weekend it came out. I think 1st April, 2nd April it came out. I remember. But yeah, I think that's what Linklater has been like. He just like keeps making movies like back to back, and I don't even know. Even I remember when Last Flag Flying came out, nobody knew that
Yeah.
movie was coming, and just dropped like one day. Like
I
this movie is coming.
weird
So
thing.
I like.
Go ahead. Finish. Sorry.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
No, I actually went to see that in New York at the festival premiere of it actually. Like it was weird, and to see that movie then gained zero buzz. And it didn't
Exactly.
even
And
have much of a
the
great
actors
reception
were.
from what I remember. Like critical
It was
reception.
pretty good. I remember it wasn't.
Like as in like
Critical reception was pretty
comparatively
good, I
whatever.
remember.
Like it was yeah. And I don't
But
think
yeah,
they
I
were
mean, again,
publicized
10 and a
also that
half
much.
was
Yeah.
Apollo 10 and a half was, I think, very well written. First of all, I think what Aryan just said, I basically agree to every point that he made. The animation style, the way it's written, again, voiceover and all of that. So it's like, also it's like a semi-biopic on his childhood, like his,
Yeah.
So, and also it's
kind of
like the whole
based on
imagination thing.
Yeah.
So
Kind of
Shashwat, you
based
were
on his
saying.
own childhood.
Yeah.
No, I was just reiterating, and the fact, plus the fact that it, kind of really puts us into the kids' shoes, was the one thing that really worked for me in that film.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
watched, yeah,
And the
I watched it, I think,
screenplay. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
yeah,
I mean, I was saying that even the screenplay shifts between the fantasy and the ordinary, more mundane aspects of 70s life.
Yeah.
And it's literally like a kid's fantasy, right? Because that's how that's how a child's life is. It often drifts between, the ordinary and the fantastical. It's just amazing. And it just shows the knack Linklater has for capturing these constant time capsules. We saw it in Dazed and Confused. We saw it in a way in Before Trilogy, and Boyhood was literally shot over the course of like 12 years. That is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
he's known for all of these kind of experiments anyway in terms of film. Correct.
Yeah. No, this is the first time I've seen rotoscoping actually. I've not seen A Scanner Darkly or Waking Life. So I was a bit like taken aback just by how wonderful it looks. Again, I'm kind of a fan. Yeah, I'm kind of a fan of how much how these films are like not pretending that much to be photorealist, though rotoscoping comes close, of course, because it's done in a way where you shoot the film first and then animate over. the whole technique of it. But this reminded me of what good nostalgia is. Good as in like
Correct.
complicated nostalgia rather
Like it's
than
the whole pointlessness
boring.
of the whole
Hmm.
thing, right? It's like
I,
there's no
the,
point to it, but it's just like
yeah.
how memories can be like, placed in a way.
Yeah, but I think there's like as Aryan was saying, like the whole conflict between fantastical and real is still there. And I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
he maybe he's come to a point, and I think one of the few criticisms I've read about Linklater's other work is that he is probably
Mm-hmm.
too much of a nostalgist. Like he's a bit too attached to the past, and he doesn't like
Mm-hmm.
know how to grow out of it. Because I think a lot of people who didn't like Everybody Wants Some, and I found it hard to that film inherently is hard for me to buy into because I'm not a fan of those characters in general. Like not his characters, but
Mm-hmm.
type of characters or that type of milieu is something I don't look at it
Relate to
positively
basically.
or
Yeah.
relate to it, right? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who took really against that in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
he's really attached to this time and he doesn't know how to push back against these people who sometimes do pretty horrible things. And I think in Apollo 10 and a half, at least, like for me, who has no
Mm-hmm.
relation to Houston, Texas, or like has no relation to 1969 in and the space race and everything that was happening, I think this
Mm-hmm.
reminds me a little bit of Licorice Pizza, not
Yeah,
in terms of
same.
Exactly. I
romance,
was
but
gonna.
like in terms of
Exactly.
In terms of the
I was gonna.
vibe.
yeah, in terms of vibe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that the space race was going on, but so were four different things also,
Mm-hmm.
and how those different things sometimes never saw the space race as anything important,
Exactly.
which is, I
It's
think, a
about the
very
same. It's
yeah,
about the same thing now, about those very status quo nurturing a
yeah,
person's life. It's
yeah,
about how
Mm-hmm.
political affects your upbringing in general.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's,
yeah, exactly.
I think you mentioned how a lot of these characters tend to be unlikable and difficult to root for. I think this film works. This film has worked for so many people because Linklater cleverly brushes across, and it's like a defense. It's a good defense, right? Because he's making a film through a kid's perspective because it's an animated film.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, it just,
Mm.
yeah, I don't
I
know
mean,
what to say.
again, very good medium to make a film. Also, like the whole
Yeah, yeah,
animated
Yeah,
thing, just like fits, and the
yeah.
whole tone is also like very whimsical. So it's like
yeah,
Hmm.
fairly over the top, and everything just fits in. Even like the
Hmm.
troubles. But the best part is he still kept that every memory and saw
Yeah.
it through a kid's perspective, which
yeah.
even though when you grow up, you like sometimes you can't really view, right?
Yeah, no,
It's the whole thing.
but I think the kid's perspective is there, but it also has that, I think, awareness of an adult person
I mean,
recounting
of
those. Yeah,
course,
yeah. No, I
but it
think,
has that whole
yeah, definitely.
like the specificities are very
Yeah, yeah,
the kids perspective only.
yeah.
You can't like
Yeah. I
fabricate
remember
as
there's
like
like a particular
yeah.
moment where he's describing the way his mother made food on particular
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
days of a week
mm-hmm.
or something like that, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really like if people didn't know it, this was like a semi biopic of Richard Linklater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They
it's
would
very
have yeah,
universal
yeah,
in many ways
Correct,
and
correct,
very magical and understated at the same time.
yeah.
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's the, I think, beauty of it, and I think
Mm.
Yeah,
I watched it the day I had COVID, so maybe
Nice.
a rewatch is due.
Good film to
To
watch.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But okay.
Man, I thought was the Lost Daughter when I was down with cold. Oh God.
nice.
Anyways, yeah,
Yeah,
another Netflix film.
I watched
yes.
Roadies
yeah.
when I had COVID. But anyway, Shashwat,
Let's turn this into a podcast about films to not watch when you're down with cold.
it's not a
Yeah,
film. But
yeah.
anyway, Shashwat, go ahead.
Yeah, so my favorite film of the year would be so far would be After Yang by Kogonada.
Mm-hmm.
It's his, and first of all, I mean it was really unbelievable for me that this is his sophomore feature. Even though I mean before
Mm-hmm.
before what it was my first experience of watching Kogonada, and I was really enthralled. I mean, it's the kind of film that made me a fan of his right from the word go, and I mean
Mm-hmm.
and literally moves his camera like a magic wand. And it starts with this, the montage is really electrifying. I mean, there is this dance competition in which this man called
They're all
Jake,
taking
this
part. Correct.
yeah, yeah, his family and their robotic new family member is like,
Yeah.
they are like participating.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's and soon it's kind of really sad that this man's life becomes, an exhaustive attempt to revive their beloved family member for their,
Mhm.
little daughter.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and then and there's this climax, which is really ambiguous in some ways, and leaves you like, leaves things very barren, like almost like a
Mhm.
drought ridden land. And uh, in between, and what the magic that lies is all in between. I mean, between that prologue and that epilogue. And I mean, it makes sense because it is adapted from this short story, Waiting for Yang, its name is. And
Mhm.
the film almost seems to be imitating this, surreal technology of AI, and which
Correct.
kind of becomes
Yeah.
whatever you want it to become.
Yep.
And it's
Mhm.
very painful in many ways, very piercing in many ways, in how it studies memory. And
Mhm.
there's always an external detail that manages to get etched scene by scene. And the acting performances are so extraordinary.
Colin
Colin Farrell
Farrell.
manages to be funny. Jodie Comer is so human. I mean,
Mhm.
everyone was excellent. I mean, something did turn me off. Okay, so since it's my favorite movie still, but still something turned me off on a rewatch. But it's still, it still remained magical nevertheless. I mean,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
strange. It would be strange to hear, but I loved the film better the second time, even though I found more problems this time. But
Mhm.
yeah, but because it was really an exhausting day
Mhm.
when I watched it for the first time, when it was premiering online at Sundance. I mean, Americans do it at like a midnight screening or something, and it was 5 or 4 in the morning. It was really exhausting. I mean, I missed a lot of details and even vital plot points at that time. And I was struck by all of that and the imagery
Yeah.
this particular time.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a movie you
Mhm.
would want to watch when you're sleepy. Like
yeah,
I've seen it, and I'm very mixed on it, to be very honest. Like I'm a big fan of Kogonada's Columbus. I think it's a
yeah.
Mhm.
lovely,
Same.
lovely movie.
It's his best. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, among the two.
Yeah, and I've actually seen a couple of his video essays, and I think my
Mhm.
problem, at least, of what my reservation with After Yang was that this kind of strikes me as something that would make a better video essay. Like to me, it does, but which is not a
Yeah, it
wholly
has those aesthetics. I mean, yeah,
the whole exploration of memory here. I think suits more of a essayist quality sometimes than
Mhm.
a narrative film. But I need to rewatch it because the whole atmosphere of it has a very zen like atmosphere, I think. And the whole
the
Mhm.
approach is like approach the approach of the film is really Ozu like. I mean,
yeah,
Yang is a reference to Edward Yang, but
yeah,
Ozu, it's very Ozu like. I mean, it makes sense in
that's
many
his
ways.
main reference point, I think. Even for something
Yeah,
like Columbus,
Columbus.
Ozu is the big reference point for him, I think. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely there. And I think I'm curious because see, I love these types of movies, so I was probably more disappointed by how much I was like unmoved by it. But
yeah.
I really want to rewatch it. Again, you said it didn't work for you as much, at least on like, I guess you noticed more flaws, but you were more emotionally engaged, right? So I'm
Mhm.
Yeah.
hoping to find more flaws and be emotionally engaged.
In fact,
Because I think,
that
yeah, I
show,
prefer the
that
latter.
Apple TV show, Pachinko, I mean, it
Mhm.
surprised me about the fact that Kogonada can even be dramatic. I mean, Columbus and After Yang both at least in essence, they work like meditations, right?
Yeah,
They work like therapy.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
Pachinko goes all out dramatic. So Kogonada can surprise in future.
Okay, I didn't even
Yeah.
know he's a part of Pachinko. Actually, I've only heard of that
Mhm.
show, but
Yeah,
I've not.
he
Yeah, same.
yeah
Yeah.
he directed half of the episodes.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Interesting.
I'm gonna watch After. I'm hoping to like it more. I think this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dhruv,
And I was about to say Sanjeet, but
I already spoke no Apollo 10 and a half. So
oh, you're including that in your top?
yeah, I mean, okay,
I thought
I'll
you.
talk because the other film we are going to talk later.
Okay, fine. I'll go with
Okay,
my.
anyway.
I've banged on about this film a bit too much, but I will go ahead. So
Mm-hmm.
this is Terence Davies's Benediction. I've talked about this, I think,
Mm-hmm.
multiple times now, but I think this is
Agenda. Start.
this is my agenda. Yes.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I'm happy to carry out an agenda for films and filmmakers who people don't have barely any knowledge
Heard of.
about, and I think they should.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
let's
think
extend the Terence Davis propaganda, right?
absolutely, absolutely. I think once one person sees his movies, one will automatically be drawn to it. But anyways, this film is and this film is a biopic. A biopic is my favorite film of the year till now, which I like. I mean,
Surprising.
when does that happen?
Okay.
So this is a biopic of like a British wartime poet and writer Siegfried Sassoon, who was basically popular for his really sharp and poignant sort of takedown of war in World War One
Mm-hmm.
and the casualties that it
Okay.
entailed. So it's a lot about that, basically about that. But like I think good biopics do, this kind of focuses a little bit. This still follows some beats of what a
Hmm.
conventional biopic does, like time hopping and like going through some
Hmm.
events. But it focuses on three periods of his life basically. One of them is basically the time where he resigns from the war and is
Hmm.
sent to a mental asylum basically uh,
Hmm.
because he opposes the British forces at that moment in time. And
Hmm.
where he like goes, then it transitions basically to him having multiple affairs with he was a gay poet at that time, and he wasn't openly
Hmm.
gay, so there was like a secret society basically of lovers who he had, and it kind of turns into this really it's really funny, like sharply funny, but also kind of deeply sad lover,
Hmm.
like a I don't know how to describe it even. It's like a someone described it as a mean girls style love affair
Wow.
or love drama. It's a bit, and I think
Okay.
this is the point where I think a lot of people
I
might
mean,
lose.
that's how you should sell that movie also.
This is one portion of it, yes, but
No, I'm
but
just kidding. But anyway, yeah.
but the movie that hangs over or like looms over this the most
Hmm.
actually is Martin
Hmm.
Scorsese's The Irishman, because I think the
Oh.
air of sort of
Damn.
the air of
Uh-huh.
doom and like this idea of a person being trapped, like a person being trapped in his own memories and trapped in his own
Hmm.
past in a way where he doesn't know how to figure out get away from it is kind of the main idea like of this film. And one of the
Hmm.
things that's I've mentioned this writer before, but I think Richard Brody of the New Yorker
Hmm.
had
New Yorker, yeah.
his headline of the review was wonderfully put. It was basically that this is a biopic reimagined as a radical personal melodrama. And if
Hmm.
someone is aware of, and I don't know how much this plays a part in someone like me liking this movie, because I've seen a bunch of Terence Davies work now before
Hmm.
watching this, but
Hmm.
he's basically taken a biopic that resembles his life and kind of crafted something from that life that feels deeply personal to his life.
Correct.
And
I mean, makes sense.
that and he's I don't know what to say about this, but like he's a person who's very he's at the stage of it in his life where I think a lot of the filmmakers who are in like the 70s and 80s are like looking back at their life and thinking about what could have been, what should have been,
Hmm.
sort of like that. So all
Hmm.
that regret that, and he's not a popular filmmaker, right? Like he's not a Martin Scorsese, so he doesn't have that. So there's all that kind of bleeds into this film, and what you
Hmm.
get is like this really, in a way, very, and I've said this before, it's a very sad movie in the sense that you see a poet who is clearly
Hmm.
talented, whose words are genuinely like he uses excerpts from his poems in this film to evoke like images, like, and this is like one of the few films I think which does this remarkably, where he transitions from scenes or goes into transitions via poetry, and then the images that follow those are like very soft, and like, they kind of float from one scene to another, and he uses those words wonderfully. And I think there's real like joy in watching those moments play out on screen. And I think yeah, like again, I can wax lyrical about it, about this, and I think that's the point about this film. Like the first time I watched it, I was, that whole portion, the Mean Girls portion, I guess, rubbed me the wrong way also, and I was like, are we sure we really need to go in that comedic a direction? But there's something about this, like his other films, that just sticks in a way which, and I guess it's also one of those films which has like an all-timer of a last shot. I won't spoil it, but
but that's giving away a lot though.
I mean,
for expectations purposes.
I don't care, but like it's a shot. It's genuinely when the shot happens, and when this music from Fantasia on a Theme by Thomas Tallis, which is like a classical composition play, it's just like, it's like someone has thrown like whatever hot water on you, and it's just like you're.
Oh my god! What is that?
No, I mean, I know I'm hyping it to a point where I know I'll get some people telling me that, what are you talking about? But like I just, the effect of it is so powerful, and it's instantly made me a fan of Jack Lowden, who plays Sukhpreet Sassoon and who's remarkably good in this film. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I won't go ahead because I can no one's seen it, so yeah, please watch it if you're interested. And I hope my Irishman comparison has made people want to watch it, if anything else.
Expectation.
Sure.
I thought again
you don't say, Sanjeet, it's fine.
What?
That I'll watch, because I know you'll watch it after.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
So you'll just watch it. And then
no, it'll be a surprise. If it happens, it'll be like a bomb, and be like, oh my god, did you watch it? But anyway, that's beyond the point.
Dhruv, you need not worry. I mean, Sanjeet will anyway be generous to it.
Yeah, I'm usually always generous. Except otherwise. But anyway, Apollo 10.5 was also my favorite, which I think more or less we've all discussed about it. So I think we can move on to other movies, which Aryan can tell us again.
Okay, so the movie that I think a lot of people would come to this episode expecting to at least mention is the Batman. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember when was the last time when I cared enough to rewatch a superhero film for third time in like in the 3-4 months after it came out. Okay, because I don't think if
second time for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think if I've even watched Endgame more than thrice. I doubt. I mean, I might have gone through the last act of that film on my TV, but no, I've not cared or even bothered to sit through the entire thing. And this film, The Batman, is almost the same length, right? It's a 3-hour long movie, and it worked better for me upon the rewatch. It might be because I was in an almost empty theater. It might be because I was watching it in IMAX, but oh god, like it's 3 hours, okay? And it just worked so well. Unlike a film that had just released a month or two before. It came out in December.
Three months before.
Yeah, I'm talking about
Sanjeet is being like, oh, what is this movie, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about No Way Home, by the way. I mean, I don't want to get again into the entire MCU versus DC thing, but The Batman is a spectacular film that is just, it makes you feel like you're watching and playing and going through a walkthrough of the Arkham games, okay? And it's a very deliberate choice because it makes you root for the character of Batman. I mean, we all do, but it's like the film sets up his origin story without even setting up his origin story. Yeah, and the opening sequence, especially the first entire act of the
Mm-hmm.
Batman, is one of the best first acts I've ever seen, to be very honest.
Yeah,
In a
yeah.
mainstream
Where is
superhero
this?
film,
Where
whatever.
does this first act end? I'm curious.
I think after the entry of Batman, after the inciting incident. So the it's extremely
Oh,
chilling
so
because
you're basically talking about the scene with the
when he's
POV
introduced,
glass.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
the with the at the
Riddler,
station. Okay.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
Got it. Got it. Got it.
yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the soundtrack. Oh my god,
Yeah.
the
The
soundtrack
soundtrack.
and just the direction, the cinematography,
Mm-hmm.
everything. The same guy who did Dune.
Greg Fraser, right?
Greg
Yeah,
Fraser.
Greg
Yeah, yeah,
Fraser.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's winning again, man, next year. I'm so damn sure. I hope he does.
It's in
Because
I
March.
mean,
I
if
don't think
there is hype for sure.
It's in March, Aryan.
I know, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
think if I don't know, man. It's very hard for me
I
to even.
mean, that's the film is good purely because the director was
Visual
at helm
style.
and he had like a
Yeah,
proper style attached to it.
Isn't
Even though
exactly.
we
Avatar
don't know
releasing
what
this year?
Matt is. Sorry.
Isn't Avatar releasing this year?
Oh, right, December.
Yes.
Yeah.
Craig
Yeah.
Fraser's no
Okay.
winning.
I mean, you never
Sorry.
know. You never know.
Yeah.
Release date भी तो देखो sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's releasing at that point, but in general, some films have also won. I think Godfather won it
One
when it came
film
out
में
in
one
March.
यार. Like
No,
recently
but
only
anyway.
Grand Budapest.
No, Grand Budapest was later on, right?
April.
No?
April.
April of what,
It was
2014?
a summer release,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the
Okay.
only film that yeah. At least whatever I know.
Even
Yeah.
Dunkirk was like then 2017,
They
right?
didn't win anything.
It did win something.
It did win.
Some
It sounds
Like
something.
better
sound.
editing and all that.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
but
Something
that's a
जब
like
very
हुआ
that.
करता
war.
था.
That's the war film. That's the war. That's the
Yeah.
war film effect.
I mean,
But anyway,
I just like my appreciation for the Batman keeps growing because it was like literally made in the middle of the lockdown. The production, even though it was a massive, like obviously it was a high budget film considering the background and considering the source material and all, but the kind of production it went through when even Robert Pattinson himself got down with COVID. And the way they incorporate the entire, paralleling the Capitol Hill riot or whatever that happened, the way they incorporated the socio-political into the film and the way they showed the effect
correct.
of inequality on a repressed population, while also ticking all the check boxes of how to make a proper Batman adaptation that fans would actually love. And I think it's very trivial. I think it's very silly and pointless, to be honest, to keep comparing this with the Nolan trilogy because it's a different era, it's a different time, it's
Absolutely different. Absolutely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, they didn't compromise on anything. Even the smallest of the smallest shots
Yeah.
were taken because they were necessary. Like everything
And
became necessary in that sense.
so much is
Plus, the
implied.
writing is surprisingly good. I mean,
Exactly,
it
yeah.
works
I mean,
as
not
a very good
surprisingly.
coming of age film.
And
Yeah.
even so much is implied through just the mannerisms of how the Batman moves.
Correct.
The way he enters the room, you instantly know of the reputation and the fear he has on the detectives and people from the police department.
Because everything is built to a point that it becomes worth it for that,
Yeah.
And the whole communication from the screen to you as an audience also was like very, good.
And
that way.
it also, I mean, I don't know if this would make sense, but the opening in itself serves as an ending to a unknown film that's already set up the
Correct.
film. And even the ending
Correct.
is
Correct.
like an opening to a future film, right?
Correct. I mean that though, of course, but like the
That
opening
has to be no.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's done so well. Again, without any stupid end credits. Apart from that abrupt scene about Joker and all that. Barry Keegan, right?
The Barry
The one
Keegan
who's-
entry.
But which I didn't even know. I thought that's not Joker. I thought that's Two-Face or something.
I mean,
The
it
same
was
thing.
all. Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm just saying
But-
what I felt.
I only have I don't know if you guys have any flaws with the film. I'm sure you do. I know that Dhruv does. But like the only thing that did not work for me is the structure because the entry from the second act to the third act, he comes to know Robert Pattinson as Batman. He learns about how his dad was involved in this mafia bust and all, how he was responsible for the death of a journalist and all. And in the very next scene, it's like all the catharsis is taken away from him. I mean, I would have just appreciated if there was a scene in between that bridged those two very impactful key moments in this character arc, right? So it's just little, yeah. Otherwise, I don't think I have any problem with this film. I gave it like 4.5 out of 5, and I think it's the one of my favorite superhero films of all time.
Yeah, same. Amongst my all-time favorites for sure. Shashwat,
Yeah.
what about you?
Yeah. So my second favorite film of the year, right? Uh, Hit the Road it is, by Pana Panahi, the son of Jafar Panahi. And a fun fact about myself here: I have not seen any film from his father, Jafar Panahi, that is. And but yeah, what matters is that this man has made an incredible freshman picture. And it's basically a road movie, but like so much more. I mean, it's on the surface like it's a very tranquil and very therapeutic, and it's also slightly mysterious, but I mean it's overall beautiful as a feel good film. And about a family consisting of the two parents and two children, one of them being a hyper extroverted but cute little twerp, and this much older but very introverted kind of a son who at at halfway through the film I did not have any idea that this one is the elder son. I mean, I thought he must be a driver or something. So yeah, because he says so little. I mean, he doesn't have a dialogue until I think 2001: A Space Odyssey scene that is there. So yeah, so they are traveling towards this northwest tracks, and to do something incredibly important, and we don't know this.
Yeah, I think
It's a feel good film, but very covered in the blanket of ambiguity.
I was about to say, like, we'll not spoil this one because I think a lot of people
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
And I think it's very
Sanjeet hasn't seen it, so I don't want
inherently.
to spoil it for him.
I think it's almost
Yeah.
impossible to even talk about this film without spoiling it, because it is so much. It is like a mystery, it is a thriller, it is a family
Yeah.
drama, it is a road trip movie, it is a
Yeah.
coming of age story. And it does
Yeah.
all of those things incredibly well.
I mean, it's a debut feature and it's extra. I mean, this is my second favorite also. So we are basically going to be clubbing it here.
Aryan's third.
Me, Aryan,
Yeah.
and Shashwat about this, because we are like, I mean, I watched it because Shashwat had also told me to watch it just before we were making the list. It was
Yeah.
on my watch list for like ages, but I just like one of those movies that just you never know,
I
never
mean,
watch by mistake.
when it had premiered at Rotterdam, my higher up, or so I call him, Shikhar. I
Yeah.
mean, he watched it and he was like, "जब ये आए फिल्म ये देख भाई इतनी funny है बहन." So I mean, he was like so excited. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, Shikhar being excited about, because he is almost the second Dhruv for me in harshness of rating. So yeah,
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
damn.
Dhruv.
So
We have numbers
Dhruv.
now.
Oh, full vibes. Okay.
I know, sad.
yeah. Oh, no, that okay. I'm fine with it. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very charming film overall.
No,
Oh my
it's
god, this killed the
I
mood.
don't no, I don't know what to say about it also, like just like without spoiling it, except like just it's as much indebted to like Jafar Panahi, from whose work I've seen like in bits and patches, like in whatever, like I've not seen a couple of his really influential films also. And Kiarostami, who was Kiarostami, I think hangs over this very much.
Taste of Cherry, especially.
Taste
Absolutely.
of Cherry especially, and I think parts of the Coker trilogy also, especially in the way no, not Aryan is laughing because I think he's thinking I'm mentioning the second part, but even the first, even the third and first part, actually first part also. But I think it's just, I think Shashwat will talk about this film later, so I don't want to automatically dump on it a little bit. But my point was more to do with just a visual language. I think there's such a confident visual language here at play. Like I was astonished by some of the shots in this. Like not just because they were beautiful shots, but they're so
Terrifying.
wonderfully informative about so many things that are going on in the drama. Like I think if you rewatch, like it's one of those films, you rewatch the film and the first shot you can kind of know whatever the film is going to do later on. Like it tells
Mm.
you everything without exactly like shouting it out, right? Kind of the beauty of Iranian cinema in general, which is like capturing realism, which this is kind of, I'm borrowing from some writing, but like it's like capturing realism but also maintaining a style to it, which I think is the
Yeah.
hardest thing to do sometimes. And
And
yeah,
echoing your themes through road
yeah,
dramas and through children
yeah.
characters.
I mean, I'm the one thing I'll say is like I was shocked how much I enjoyed the performance of the child. I thought I'll find
Yeah.
it excruciating, but because it's so like
Yeah,
spontaneous
I
and
mean, it can
so
border on
hyperactive.
irritating these
Oh, definitely.
performances like this.
Oh,
And
definitely. Yeah.
it was really funny and
Yeah.
very. I mean, I almost expected him to like break the fourth wall at any point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think that's one of the. I think the film actually has a lot of stuff which it doesn't talk about also explicitly. And
That's
again,
what I'm saying, that even the wide shots,
hmm,
the film deliberately keeps you disconnected, and yet you know the terrifying background and you know the
exactly.
terrifying underlying
exactly.
things
Yeah.
that are. And I'm telling you, it begins like a mystery. Okay, you don't know anything about this family, or
Yeah.
whether if it even is a family in the first place. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
There are hints
subtly,
that it might be,
yeah,
might not be, sort of
the
like that.
phone
Yeah.
calls, the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
overwhelming noise, and the way the mother
Especially with
character.
the way how Iranian politics is. I mean,
Yeah.
Exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
And I think
the way they
Jafar
talk,
Panahi
I
for,
think the way they talk is
yeah,
so like, I think how to establish relationships between characters, make them talk
it's
in the most absurdly, they connect by talking about each other in horrible ways. And I think
yeah.
it's a wonderful way of making you realize that these people kind of know each other. And I
Mhm.
think that like really morbid sense of humor also really works well in this context. But
but we are not sure if they are related or not.
exactly, so
Like
there's that
his
idea of danger
father's
also.
films,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
there's at least three moments. There's at least three moments from this film that I know I'm not going to like. I won't be able to take them out of my head.
Yeah.
At least for a
Uh,
year. At least till
I
I
think I
come
can
to my
pick.
end of the days.
I think I can identify two of them. I don't know
Yeah.
about the third one, but
Yeah. The
yes, we won't.
levitating sequence is there for sure.
Yeah, we won't
The
spoil it
conversation.
more.
Yeah, we
But
would. Yeah.
Sanjeet, you better bloody watch this. Three people are recommending it. Okay, you don't watch Benediction, that's fine. I forgive you, but like watch it.
Okay,
Dude.
sir. Okay, sir.
And for context,
Homework.
I think a lot of people might not be aware and familiar with Iranian cinema, and especially with Jafar Panai's entire filmography and the political underlines of it. So Jafar Panai has basically been under house arrest, and he's being barred from like making films in Iran. Okay, since 2010. And there's a character in this film who plays the father. He is called Khosrow, I don't know what the name.
Are they named? Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The mother is not named very
Mother isn't
deliberately.
named. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
What's wrong?
Khosrow
Yeah.
has a broken leg, a plastered leg, so he has to drag himself everywhere. I mean, oh God, the
Is it a comedy?
symbolism. No,
Kind
it
of
Yes,
is.
like it's
kind of.
kind of.
Like in
Like in
certain parts,
okay.
I think
the
some
young
I mean,
people
it's the
some
funniest
character.
film of the year.
some
Yeah.
people made a comparison to Little Miss Sunshine
Ah,
in
yeah,
some
I saw
ways.
that. I
Yeah.
think the Brody
Oh.
did.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did he?
Okay.
Okay,
Someone
someone did.
from either Brody or Rolling Stone review.
Someone did, but that kind of is true, but it kind of also robs it of a gazillion complexities it
It's
has.
yeah, it's
So
way more. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Sanjeet basically has to know only three things about the film:
Uh-huh.
the tree, the road, and the family.
Yeah,
That's it.
and
And
the wide
you
shots.
guys recommended it. So
Yeah.
full
And I
marks.
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's very important for anyone who's planning to watch this film. Just go in after reading at least something about the political,
Hmm.
I mean,
authoritative
yeah.
regime in
I
Iran.
mean, but that you
Exactly.
So
should know
do you
about
think it's
anything.
necessary?
I
Like,
think I do
you
think
think
that
so?
it's
Okay.
necessary
I
because
think it
Okay.
adds a layer to it, but I think someone can enjoy it without even
Mm-hmm.
without knowing.
Okay.
Like,
I
but I
mean,
would
this
think so.
applies to Iranian cinema in general, most of the
Hmm.
films.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Of
But
course it
especially
helps. Yeah.
this one because you know that it's
Yeah.
coming from a household where
Yeah.
politics is like the center of everything. It
Yeah.
has become, even though it
Mhm.
wasn't like intended, maybe, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Panay said it in an interview, I guess. So I'm just paraphrasing, but he said that I did not have to go to film school and all. I didn't have to because
Yeah.
cinema was always brewing inside my home.
Yeah.
Pana
And
Panai is Jafar Panai's daughter or
Panay's
son?
son.
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 Son, okay.
Son.
That's what now to get
Someone's daughter
the
is also a filmmaker, right? Some Iranian filmmaker's daughter. No?
Not
Okay, I
sure.
was just going somewhere else. Anyway,
yeah,
yeah.
Not sure. But this is like this is one of those films I think you will expect. I mean, for me
Mhm.
especially, you would expect to see it towards the end of the year also. Like I wouldn't expect
Mhm.
this to be like
Mhm.
usurped in that sense. Probably one of the
Mhm.
most confidently directed debut features I've seen, and
Okay.
like
The
makes you
only
like just excited about
net
the film
exactly, yeah.
maker. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think the only nitpicks I have is ki it might get too like showy with its metaphors and all, which
Yeah.
I mean I was okay with it,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I'm just sad that it goes on for 2 more shots.
That's a bit of
I
a
think it needs 2 less shots and it ends on a perfect shot. Yeah,
yeah, I agree. I know
I
what you
thought
meant.
it'll end
Okay.
there, so I was disappointed that it went on for 2-3 more.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, come on, it's still
Oh, where
amazing.
is it available though? Is it available somewhere?
I will send it to you. Sir.
No, I'm just asking in general.
I will send it to you.
It's
Okay.
available
Okay.
on VOD.
Okay. Okay. That's the answer I was looking for. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I think it was your common favorite, right?
Yeah, so
So
you are there, Sanjeet.
I am talking. I'll talk
Yes.
about Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I absolutely loved. And so I think from way before
All of us
the
have
kind
seen
of
it.
all of us have seen it,
Yes.
and the kind of experiences I kind of enjoy in theaters is also ones that exhaust me, but like not in the bad way, but like somewhere where I'm like completely satisfied as a viewer,
Hmm.
on like all levels. But like when you're actually using a brain to think of where what is happening, and this film is like an epitome of all of that kind of genre or something, narrative in that sense,
Hmm.
because the filmic sense of it is way too many stories and everything is happening all at once. Because whatever
Yes,
you guys have
that's the
told me
title.
about, yeah, is it that like Peter thing? Okay,
What
anyway,
Peter
that's like
said?
a Family Guy reference.
Okay, okay.
Whenever you hear of a film's name in a film, you say, "Oh, that's the film."
Do they
But
say
anyway,
it in this or no? No, right?
no,
I
no,
doubt it. Yeah.
no. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the whole narrative is I kind of enjoy that. So automatically, that was a big plus for me. Plus, how well it's made, because it is not just a lot of things for the sake of it,
Hmm.
because they end up having that whole emotional quotient. Because I didn't know, I hadn't seen the trailer either.
Yeah.
uh Someone had just told me, a friend of mine had told me, just like watch the trailer, it's too good, whatever. And I didn't want to, and I just went into it without knowing most of it,
Hmm.
except it's a multiverse thing, and a lot of
Same,
letterbox
same.
reviews were
Yeah.
like rating it way too
Yeah,
high.
it's what like 10th best
Yeah,
film, 15th
I
best
mean,
film.
yeah, but
Yeah.
so I mean, for me, it lives up to it because this is the kind of cinema I kind of enjoy. Way
Hmm.
too many narratives, way
Yeah.
too many things happening at the same time. And yeah, I think the whole emotional quotient is the cohesive, sticking so many things together.
Hmm.
Plus, I think the way they use their world logic
Hmm.
and how it transports, and it is different in every world, their own world logic,
Hmm.
and the whole film logic in itself, like
Hmm.
which you can view objectively, works fantastically,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
you're invested and you never go like, no, I don't believe that, because you actually, because it's so well set up. Also, the Daniel's eccentricity, the
Mm-hmm.
quote Daniel's eccentricities that are part of the whole narrative, which I also enjoyed kind of in Swiss Army Man, but not so much in the Dick Long movie.
Which one? Dick Law?
The Death of Dick Long.
Oh, that's the one. Only one of them
But it's
directed it,
one
right?
of the Daniels, not both of them.
Yeah.
This
That's
features both
also
of them.
A24. I think.
Yeah. It was way too low budget, I think. Way lesser
Okay.
than most of
Okay.
the. But I think the thing with me is I love the whole eccentric nature as well, because it elevated it to another level of, just like me liking the film
Yeah.
way too much. So
Yeah.
So that's. Do you guys want to add anything else?
I mean, I was go
I
ahead.
am
I
really
mean,
glad. I mean, even though I wasn't really a fan
Not
of the
all
film, I'm
together,
glad.
but like
Following the
not all
title,
at
Sanjit.
once.
Yes.
All at once.
Yeah.
No, I'll just say that I wasn't very high on this film. I think it's very exhausting,
I guess you
deliberately so
all
much.
took a break in the
it
middle.
is.
Not
It
Dhruv, not
Yeah,
Dhruv.
is.
I
I
did. I
couldn't.
did.
You
I
couldn't,
had
like
to.
even I couldn't, but
Yeah.
all of you all took like breaks in the middle. So
Hmm.
Mm.
I'm just really glad that it
Mm.
did great at the box office.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's what I.
I mean, I
Hmm.
wanted to rewatch right after I watched because I was like, I want to know more of it. Like, I want to rewatch and gather some of the
I mean,
details that I probably missed.
have all of you guys watched Swiss Army Man?
Yes.
I have.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Odd.
Oh,
Okay.
did you not like the film, Dhruv? Okay,
Mm.
okay.
He like you
So
liked this film.
yeah,
I didn't
I
like Swiss
loved it.
Army Man.
Ah,
No,
okay.
I
You
loved it
liked
more.
everything everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah,
Say it
I loved it more
so that it
than
should be on audio.
I loved it. No, I personally loved it more than Everything Everywhere.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Everything Everywhere, I think the only part that didn't work for me was the third act, right? All at
Oh, okay.
once one, because yeah, I could not completely comprehend it. But I mean, the one thing that worked for me about the film the most was that it was so incredibly wise. I mean, in
Correct. Correct.
quoting one
Hmm.
conversation that I had with one of my friends is that this film tries too hard to be too Gyani and succeeds. Yeah, right. And I mean that razor sharp speed with which it operates. I mean, it kind of harms the film in that on that instance that I mentioned, the third act, which didn't work for me, and
Hmm.
it tries. I mean, it is so crowd pleasing that there would be a section of people inevitably who would be disappointed by the film, but overall, I mean, Michelle Yeoh is like extraordinary here.
Yeah.
So I mean, she propels the film
Mhm.
to another that multiverse
Yeah.
that the film desires to go with.
Yeah. No, I think
Hmm.
I was surprised, honestly, Sanjeet, that I liked this because you know how much, like, I think it's a big thing. Like, the humor thing is the big thing, I think, right? Like, we discussed how Swiss Army Man doesn't work for me
Hmm.
simply because I don't connect with that humor. Like, I find it too eccentric. So it crosses that, it crosses
Hmm.
my boundary of understanding. And I just go, I don't get
I
this. Like,
mean, I think why people also liked it is because of the whole ADHD thing, also, right? Like your attention spans are anyway short, and this movie just moves
yeah,
so fast
I
that you don't
mean,
really have so much time to
yeah.
really think or take out
But
your phones while watching the movie, right?
I get it. I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
I appreciate it on that level. I'm not a fan of the humor, which I think is the big
Hmm.
drawback for me. Because
I mean,
then it's
then that's a subjective thing, to be
yeah,
honest,
it's a
because I
subjective
think
thing
Yeah.
totally. Though to be honest, some of the humor in this is not gonna be to everyone's taste in any case. Because there are
correct,
butt
correct.
plugs and like other stuff involved here.
The
That's like
visual
yeah,
humor especially is
there's the
can
hot
turn
dog
people off.
fingers, which I like.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just I zone out because I'm like I don't find this funny. Honestly, I don't.
I
I know
think it
people
was
do, but
just
Hmm.
like.
too much of
Yeah, it's a
like
eccentricity
visual stimuli.
overload. Like
I
to
Yeah.
mean,
me,
so
at least,
I
it is.
like that I feel they were
Uh,
pretty aware of the whole thing.
No, no, I
Yeah,
know. That's what
definitely.
I'm
Yeah,
saying.
but
Like
That is when
I.
it switches to the whole rock thing. Also, I'm like, okay, now they are
Mhm.
going that
the
territory.
Rock
So, I
thing, I
mean,
knew is going to be a instant favorite for like the whole of Letterbox, right? Because
exactly,
as soon as I
exactly. I
saw it, I was
agree.
like, oh,
I
I
agree.
understand why this.
Now,
I
because it
also
went
liked
to
it.
that zone, right?
I
It just
also
It
liked
went.
it.
was wild too. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it's the wildest thing I saw since the color that emerged in High and Low, Kurosawa's High and Low. I mean, I
Yeah.
watched it. Yeah, it's really
For me, this is
surprising
more
to
on the lines of
see.
like a super deluxe kind of thing.
I
Yeah,
messaged you saying this.
Yeah,
I was so
you messaged
correct.
me because
Yes, I was
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
happy that you agreed. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, but I was honestly so what Shashwat is saying, I actually liked it because of the third act. Because I thought the crowd pleasing
Hmm.
got to me. Like I got
Hmm.
emotionally
oh,
swept up. I got
Yeah,
emotionally
yeah, yeah, yeah.
swept up. I
I
almost teared
mean,
up. And I thought
yeah, yeah.
I didn't think that would happen considering how much I was zoned out of the humor of the film. But I think
Hmm.
again,
Maybe
what
no,
your
no, I
eyes just
mean
hurt
by
from too much visual stimuli, too
I
much
mean by
color.
the
Aryan,
no,
third
please
I
act,
don't say
genuinely
anything now. Please, he liked
I'm
the
in the
movie a
my
very long
video.
time.
I mean, I liked it a lot, but thank
no,
you.
no, I
No,
I
I
genuinely
just
mean Dhruv
thought
liked
I
it.
just appreciated it more because in this movie, multiverse doesn't just mean red means
hmm,
green.
No, it's like someone
Unlike,
wrote
yeah.
an essay on it, right? Like what was it like? Uh, something about nihilism, but like looking at it in a positive way or something. Like looking at the world in a way where what is the whole nothing matters, which I don't think the film is about. Actually, the film is actually about everything matters, and I think
Yeah.
that that is a critical difference. I know nothing matters is a phrase which is
It
used by
begins from nothing matters, but then the entire point of the character arcs is key. Everything matters, including a family.
which is not entirely inseparable from nothing matters. Everything matters is not that far away from nothing matters, because like if you give everything that much importance, then like
there's no priority and all that.
exactly. So it's like whatever. But like I like the whole philosophical angle of it more so than
even
the
I.
But there
humor
was
of
also
it.
clarity in whatever they were doing,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
Yeah.
that is
I
why
mean,
everything was like fairly spot on what they really
yeah.
wanted to
I
achieve.
just didn't
that
care
kind
for
of-
like the Ratatouille references, and like I was just like, okay,
Ah.
fine, I get
I
it.
mean, I get it why someone wouldn't also. I mean, that's fairly understandable that way.
Yeah.
Even the whole, I mean, I loved the whole
There's the whole
Wong
Wonka Wai
thing.
section, which I didn't
Yeah,
mind.
which
I like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but yeah.
I
mean,
just
it
want
doesn't
someone.
reference movies just for the sake of it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, even the Wong Kar-wai thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
fun.
but
if you
then you
want to
get like
watch it that
Michelle
way.
Yeoh and I forgot the second actor's name, who's really good actually, the husband.
He was the kid actor in Indiana Jones Temple of
Oh,
Doom.
what?
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
No,
Yes,
he was the
he
child
was.
actor in. His name is Ki Hui Kwan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it.
Yeah, Ki Hui Kwan. Yeah.
He was the child, and then he didn't act for a while. He was there in Goonies also.
Okay.
And then he came
He's
back.
really good in this, I thought.
Yeah, he was super good.
Very good.
For a very long time in the trailers, I didn't know it was him. And from a very far look, I thought it was Jackie Chan. I'm not kidding. But to my surprise, someone else told me about him. And whatever.
Yeah.
But he was very good. It didn't look like that he took a break in the middle of like his acting thing.
Yeah.
Looked like as if he's been acting for like ages.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And
I
that
just
girl,
want
Stephanie,
someone
who played the daughter, she was also extraordinary.
All the cast was
and
actually
also
fantastic, I thought.
Tiffany
like the line between absurdity and that emotional latch that she balances.
Yeah.
She plays two characters.
It kind of blurs it, right?
Aryan?
Yeah.
Even Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah, so good.
Oh yeah, I actually liked her also in this. That's true.
I loved all the scenes set around that office.
How the film is basically about solving tax problems.
I think it's
doing laundry and solving taxes.
Doing laundry and solving taxes.
So good, no? That way. Yeah.
I love that aspect, and
so
I just want someone.
Happy that everyone's talking about this film in positive.
I just want someone to write.
I've not seen as many good films as you guys have, so.
What do you mean?
I just want someone to write an essay and do a comparative study on this and RRR and write about why these kinds of like films tend to work.
Maximalist.
I mean, what's so fast?
That's the buzzword of the time, right?
Yeah, it's just. I think it's just a curious.
RRR. Now people will listen to this episode.
Maximalist is the buzzword of this year, I think.
Aryan, you should only write.
You write, Aryan.
Maybe, good idea.
He will read.
I'll write like 2-3 points and then keep.
Please, Aryan, do it for us.
Around those things.
I won't write until there are like deadlines and like this. But anyway,
I've been working on a TVF top 10 ranked essay since like more than a month now.
Lovely.
Oh yeah. That list, yeah. Okay. Let's.
Anyway, so I think Aryan is done with his 3 films, which include.
What do you mean? How is he done with 3?
I mean,
I'm done. 10 and a half. Apollo 10 and a half.
Batman.
Apollo 10 and a half. Batman.
Oh yeah, never mind. Sorry.
Batman bhul gaye.
Yeah.
No.
Typical of Dhruv. Okay, anyway.
I saw it
Shashwat.
twice.
Directly went into the benediction category.
Yeah.
No, I guess Dhruv has
Cinema,
only spoken about benediction so far, right?
No, but his was
my
Hit the Road
favorite
also.
So,
Oh yeah. So
Okay,
my
Shashwat,
third favorite would be Cooper Rife's Chacha Real Smooth, and uh, it was one of my most anticipated films of the year since I had watched Shithouse, his debut film, which was very Linklater like
I was about to say
drama.
Linklater will get
What
another
exactly?
mention.
Yeah,
We've told you this,
but this
Sanjeet.
is
Like Linklater, like I don't remember you
Yes.
telling me Linklater.
You
Okay,
don't
anyway.
remember a lot of things, no? So
Yeah, I remember. Please.
you just don't follow.
That is
okay.
correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead,
So
Shashwat.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's so nice that Cooper Rife even exists, man. I mean, it doesn't
Wow.
really like
High
matter to
praise.
me that yeah. I mean, he's the kind of man that I so wanted to see on screen since years. I mean, uh, we always get these multi-layered men or even sensitive men with that masculinity, and he's this ultra sensitive person that we don't really get to see. I mean, he's often funny and charming and not really heroic at all. And he takes this thing to another level with this film. I mean, it's of course it's understandably bigger, for the lack of a better word, since Dakota Johnson is involved, and it's a sophomore film for him in many ways. So
Yeah.
I mean, it solitarily studies Andrew. I mean, of course, Shithouse was a rom-com, and this one too is. But I mean, this really solitarily studies Andrew and the way he hosts bar mitzvah and mitzvahs and all. I
Hmm.
mean, it's it works as, I mean, a charming odyssey of sorts. I mean, it studies masculinity that way, and he tells these, it's more about, I mean, discourse about Chacha Real Smooth will turn less into
Dhruv
Chacha Real
enters.
Smooth discussion, and it will turn into a more like a Cooper Rife discussion. I mean, it's all about him and the way he
But it's
pieces
like
the film.
He's
semi-autobiographical,
acting in the
I
right?
movie?
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Yeah,
doing
he
everything.
wrote,
yeah,
he
he's
Ah.
acting and
I
directing.
I
Yeah.
want to say that, like, I'm
he
not the
also co-edited some parts.
so he, like,
Full
whatever,
auteur only.
huh? No, I was about to say, even though I'm not like mad about this film, I really like Shithouse, and I am not a fan of that critique or criticism that this is, like, this is bad because Cooper Riff is basically stroking his own whatever, because he is the star and he's ultra nice, and like I
In
think I've
control of his
yeah,
work.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think I've read a lot of criticisms that, oh, how much can someone stroke their own ego? And I find that criticism quite worthless, honestly, in
Yeah.
comparison, in reference to this film. My problem with the film is always that I found it very stylistically lacking. And I don't need it to be like stylish in the filmmaking. I thought some of the filmmaking was a bit sloppy. Like the editing I thought was a little
Editing,
sloppy.
yeah. The
I thought the,
entire first half, especially the first act, it was very
but
too stylistic for me, I think.
I get the
Editing.
appeal of it though. Like it's
Yeah.
to me it's a very similar appeal of something like Worst Person in the World. Like I thought, except this is flipped around, of course.
Wow.
Like you get like, and I'm a big fan of put more hypersensitive men into film. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Like we probably need more like representation on that front. But like
Yeah.
I was a little less won over by the romance. I think a lot of people really liked the Dakota Johnson character.
I think
Uh,
it's not supposed to be a romance though, because the film
isn't it?
sets this. I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
think so. Because the film sets up itself like the concept and the themes right in the first act when it literally opens up with Cooper Raff's cat. What's he called in this film? Ryan? Andrew.
Andrew.
And
Andrew,
Yeah.
yeah. So it opens up with Andrew as a kid, and we see him being obsessed with this, obsession of, impressing
A much
older
older
girls and
lady.
just, yeah, and just impressing and being around older people in general.
mm,
Okay. So he
mm,
wants to get ahead of himself. And, you know, in doing so, he is losing on so much in his current time.
mm,
When he's a child, we see that. And then we see him in his 20 when he's 22. Okay. And the film follows him in his early 20s, and you constantly see how he's obsessed with, getting too far with his life by impressing this really old girl
mm,
of Dakota Johnson's
Yeah.
character. And he just keeps saying that you're my soulmate and all. And maybe she is, but
mm,
he's, and there's a very deliberate choice because the film makes her actual husband, fiance, look
mm,
like a very, villainy type character.
mm,
And in the end, you just realize, oh my God, the film tricked us so well because he's just a normal guy, and that's how it often is in life. Okay, because there's a very what do you call it? Subversion of expectations when he comes up to his car and when
Hmm.
he's just running away from the house after seeing Dakota Johnson at the back door, he's just
Hmm.
running away, and you as an audience feel that he's just coming there to hit him, and yet he
Mhm.
just talks to him and
Hmm.
he's like, I'm just a dumb kid, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And his fiance just listens to him and he's like, I know, it's
Yeah.
okay,
Is
I've
the
Yeah.
been
film
here.
narrative that is it like the film takes place over one night or is it like no?
No, no,
No,
no.
it's
No?
No,
over
no,
a
no.
period
Over
of
It's
a
time.
year,
it's
I
That's
guess.
shit
only
house. No,
Okay,
not
that's
one
it.
night,
Yeah.
but like the major part of shit
Hmm.
house takes
the
over
vibe
the
is
next
like
bit.
that
Yeah.
for shithouse.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
it's basically about this man who's been obsessed with feeling older, okay?
Hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
screenplay is so disarming in that way. And I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
people should give more credit to this film because it's actually smarter than it might appear. And it
Hmm.
Like
actually
the whole
kind of reminded
relatable
me
factor
of
or
the
what?
not the relatable factor. I think
Not
it's just
really.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's so
But then what?
sensitive, I mean, and
I mean,
self-aware.
I
Okay.
think the film is going for a lot of stuff also. Like, it's not just the relationship between the Dakota Johnson character. Like, it's also
Hmm.
my favorite part of the film is the relationship with the Dakota Johnson's
Is
daughter
brother.
and
Daughter, yeah,
Yeah,
artist. That
daughter
yeah.
and
depiction of
Pepper
autism
Racer.
is so
Yeah, yeah. They
Her
Oh,
cast
okay,
performance
okay.
is
a real
fantastic.
actor,
Yeah,
and
and that
that's just
performance
yeah.
is
That
lovely. I think that
she's
performance is
amazing.
extraordinary. That girl,
her
yeah,
name's Vanessa
Mm-hmm.
Berghardt. I think that she's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fantastic,
Vanessa
fantastic
Bogart.
performer in
Yeah.
this.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
and
relationships with his mother, right? That has one of the
amazing.
better scenes, I think, one of the really good scenes actually in the film, on a kitchen table. I think when they're
Yeah,
discussing
around
something.
a dinner table. Yeah, when he's like
Yes, yes,
standing
yeah,
right to the stairs.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
even the relationship between Andrew and David, his younger brother. I mean, it's just
Oh
so
yes,
he keeps telling him about how to make these
yeah.
how to impress a girl and
Yes,
how to
yes, yes,
go ahead and deal with your first kiss. And then at the end, he just tells him
yeah,
that it's about two people.
yeah,
You should enjoy it. You shouldn't be conscious. And it's
yeah,
like he himself went through that process that no,
yeah,
I'm done, doing
yeah.
things for others because you see him as a selfless guy.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what people have
Yeah, in
criticized
his
it
early
for.
20s. And all.
That's what people, which is strange to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
But Sanjeet, were worth watching, huh? Like both his
Yeah.
works, actually. Yeah. He's
And
a
What
good.
even like
else
the
though?
title of the film, I think it's very, again, coming back to my last point, like,
Hmm.
as I said, the film is actually smarter than most people might perceive it to be,
Hmm.
because the
Mm-hmm.
title of the film literally comes from a song and dance sequence where everything between major lead characters go haywire.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, that Cha Cha Real Smooth song is playing in the background. So it visually depicts how life can often get too chaotic.
Hmm.
Okay. And even when you think that everything's going smooth, things are never going to get things are never going to go as they are often planned. Your
Okay.
transition between your job and college, it's not
Yeah.
always going to be smooth. You are
Hmm.
going to lose people. You have to accept that.
Yeah.
So it's more about
Mm-hmm.
accepting the people that you might lose along the way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why it reminded me of the films and rom-coms that came in the early 2000s, right? Like the Spectacular Now, and there's obviously
That
500 Days of
was
Summer.
fairly early, no?
This reminded me. His character
2013.
reminded me
Yeah.
of October.
Whatever.
Weirdly.
What? Okay.
Hmm. Dan as a
Dan.
character. Dan's
Dan.
character,
Okay,
Oh
not
yeah,
okay,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
actual specific stuff, but like
okay,
Dan's character,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Okay.
and
Yeah, yeah, makes
Dave's
sense.
character. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe I'll do an
So,
essay on that.
Dhruv,
You
next
should,
film,
you should. Yeah.
Oh
third film.
yes. Oh yeah. I forgot I'm there. You
Wow.
aren't you doing
Okay.
the third thing for
No,
yourself?
your third after you. After
Oh,
you,
okay,
I'll
okay,
do.
okay. Like that.
I
Yeah.
mean, I
Okay.
can also do. I don't mind.
No, it's fine. I'll do it. No, my third favorite is again a very, I don't know. I think this film gained a little bit more popularity. Is We Are All Going to the World's Fair, directed
Mm-hmm.
by
Mm-hmm.
Jane Shoburn. I think their name is Jane Shoburn, and I think this is
Mm-hmm.
kind of this is like I'm a fan of desktop horror in general. I think the concept desktop horror is
What is desktop
basically
horror?
you're like unfriended, the movies like Unfriended, Host,
Searching.
etc. Searching, exactly. Yeah, these films
Mm-hmm.
which kind of take place in one, well, in a computer, on a computer screen, right? And like they restrict
Mm-hmm.
themselves to one location and all that stuff. So this is largely restricted to being like a desktop horror, and it's like where like fantasy and reality begin to blur for one teenager once they immerse themselves into a role-playing horror game. And this role-playing horror game is this "We Are All Going to the World's Fair." That's
It's a
the title
horror
of the game.
film.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
trans horror film. That's what it's being like championed as, I think.
Okay.
Trans as in Trans, horror
I
film.
know.
It's made by a trans
Acha, okay.
filmmaker,
Okay.
and I think that's a key thing here, because I saw two very different films before reading and after reading takes on it. So before reading, to me, this was a straight up super bleak, super depressing, super someone loses their identity to the internet sort of horror film. And after reading the takes, it was much more complicated, intertwined. You kind of the whole film is, I think, and especially in the second watch, I thought it was maybe a little, it is maybe too ambiguous, too mysterious, and too unwilling to let people in to like its world sometimes. The film is, the performance is not, the performance is spectacular. The lead performance is by Anna Cobb, and she's incredible. There's one incredibly unnerving scene in this where something goes from very normal to absolutely absurd to again normal in the span of whatever 2 seconds, and it's terrifying. But this is not like conventional at all, and I think that might be a challenge in many respects for people. And it was, I think, more of a challenge on my second watch, because I thought I would get more from the film in some ways, in not in terms of understanding, but just in terms of emotional engagement. I thought the first time I was super intellectually and emotionally engaged, second time less so. Irrespective, like, it's a very unique look at this type of horror film that, like, it very much, I suppose it's one of the few films which I would say that definitely read uh reviews about it after you watch it, especially from
Okay.
people who are trans people, and from who are more informed about identity politics and other things, because I think it really casts the film's ambiguities in a totally different light. And I think it kind of makes sense, right? Because the trans identity in many senses rejects normal, binaries in terms of
Correct.
good, bad, and like you get like
Correct.
very,
Correct.
so the whole film is shrouded in that, and like you don't know if the main character is losing themselves to the internet, or are they playing an act just to gain attention on the internet. And that performance is fantastic. I think the performance holds most of this together. The craft is great also, like the way the film is made, but I think the performance is key to making it emotionally grounded, and like, to get some sense of it. But it's a great film, and it's the biggest endorsement. It's 75 minutes long, so yeah, a 75-minute long
Fairly.
great film is rare, but when it's there, I think must be championed also. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's my third favorite.
So my third favorite film this year is Puru, which is a Malayalam film starring Mammootty, and it's directed by Rathina, who's a debutante. So I am a huge fan of Mammootty when he goes on these solo character-driven films. So what happened? This film, there's not a lot of plot to it, but it's a whole complete character study. And this character is, okay, I wouldn't say hateful, but I disliked him as a person. He's like this very strict upper caste Brahmin who actually hates people from other castes. He has this extremely racist outlook towards a lot of people. And his son is kind of traumatized by how his father has treated him, and he's a motherless kid. And the whole film is very fascinating in that sense, because and the whole plot of the film in a way is about, he's paranoid that someone's trying to kill him, and the way, and like the people he's given like all the reasons to kill him. and this whole paranoia and the whole atmosphere, it's very, it's very, very well directed, first of
I'm
all.
already sold.
Yeah. I mean, and
Exactly.
it also has Parvati in it, who's playing his sister, and she goes on and marries this guy who is from a lower caste, and he's an actor. So he's
Sanjeet,
everything.
Parvati as in Parvati Tiruvotu from like.
Yes. So
Okay,
yeah, I mean,
then definitely going to watch it.
she marries this guy who's basically the kind of guy who Mammootty's character completely resents. So there is a different relationship there, and he has a relationship with his other friends, and the other kind of corruption that he's involved in at the same time. So it's very well made. I mean, I loved it because when he's in that zone where he's doing that whole character, and I feel Mammootty is an extremely fine actor, because when he's in that zone and he's super subtle. Because in films where I've actually not liked him, and like the really bad Malayalam films that I've seen, there was this one movie which I watched, like I think that was my first film of his, what I watched, and he's playing this father of a kid who's basically been raped. Okay. And that film was really bad. But in that film, there's a scene where he has to react to this news of his daughter. And that reaction was so subtle, and his whole react. I was like, nobody can do this, what he's done. Like legit, nobody can do it. Not even your Daniel Day-Lewis or whatever. Because his reaction to this news isn't too exaggerated, neither is it too. It's so internalized, and in the film is not even made well, and yet he's able to communicate that emotion to you. You get it? So when Mammootty's in that zone, there's another movie with the director called of Ram. I forgot the name of the film, which is, I absolutely love that film. Wait, Piranbu.
Tell me how to. Sorry.
Piranbu, which came out in 2018.
Oh, I've heard about this a
Absolutely love
lot. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's fantastic, and there also his performance was magnificent. So similarly, I think he's in that zone, and when he's in that zone, I think I enjoyed it quite a lot. And so
where to watch?
It's on Sony Live.
Perfect.
And Prime Video too.
Last time, Sanjeet, we talked about the best Indian films, where I was basically just listening to you guys, not contributing at all. The first thing I did was, after we finished the episode, was went and watched Churuli, because I listened to you actually. So
yeah. I mean,
might do it now.
What did you think about the film, Sanjeet? Churuli?
I liked it. I liked it quite a lot. But I have like, it's not. It's
I
like
also enjoyed
either you love this kind of movie or you hate. I don't think so. You can be in the middle kind of.
It was great. It was great in the sense that experience, whatever.
Exactly. And I think that film, Lijo just wanted that whole experiencing. Otherwise, you won't enjoy it. Yeah. But it's sad that it came out on Sony Live and not in a theater. But I mean,
theater, one plug is allowed, Sanjeet. It's okay.
No, not one plug, because I remember he was supposed to release it in 2020. I'm legit.
Let me justify it. I was like, the plug thing reminded me of the butt plugs and everything everywhere all at once.
Weird that you're thinking about butts, but anyway.
I'm not thinking about butts. I'm thinking about butt plugs, but okay. Anyways.
Okay. Respect.
That's everyone's takeaway from this episode.
Butt plugs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have no clue, man. Like, I don't know why you reminded of butt.
No.
But
you were saying something, Sanjeet. I will cut all this out, maybe.
Something about Lijo.
No, I was just saying, because he was supposed to release Churuli in 2020, and COVID. He couldn't, because he wanted to get that whole theater thing done. He actually wanted that movie to be done in like that VR
4DX
for some reason.
But that would make sense for that
VR,
movie.
VR.
That would make sense for that movie, no?
So I mean, that is why the whole theater thing, I was like, that wasn't me, that was him.
Okay.
But yeah, I think this is the end of the episodes. We recommended like fairly good number of movies. We talked about our favorites. Please follow us on Instagram at queens.film.podcast. Follow us on Spotify. Please follow us on Spotify and rate us on Spotify, because it helps us to reach out to more people, and we'd like to reach out to more people. Also, lots more episodes coming soon in the next few months. Many more guests coming soon. So please follow us. Please rate us. You can follow Dhruv on his Instagram page at Terminal Cinema. You can follow Shashwat on Instagram at Filmahole. I don't know if he's that active. You can follow Aryan and Aryan Toxin. You can follow me at Pixel Baba. But you can check out Shashwat's reviews, which are on High on Films, and Aryan's reviews everywhere, and Dhruv's website.
Nowhere.
Whatever.
Yes.
Nowhere. That's your website is literally the first search result. Like
What?
you put Terminal Cinema and that's legit the first search result is your website. So
Yeah, but that's because no one else has that name.
I mean that's good. What do you call that?
Branding.
That search thing that Google search
Algorithm.
algorithm.
Yeah,
I mean,
मैंने
that's
वही
like a
I set it
positive.
like that, Sanjeet. I had all the knowledge in the world.
Full planning. I know at once. Okay. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you, Shashwat, for coming on for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. This is the end of the episode. Khatam.